Hey, welcome back to Grit Gym. I got a guest here, Grit Gym, Eric Schwager, not Schwager, even though I like to say Schwager. I think Schwager is much more fun. Eric's been working at Grit Gym for about a year now. Really impressive guy. Gets nothing but compliments from everybody, and not just because he's got the swag, but also or his good looks or anything or his big muscles. Just because he's a great dude, and that's why we wanted to kind of bring him on the show and have him back as a regular person out of the show, because he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a really smart guy, and he's pretty analytical, and he sits down and thinks about this stuff. And I think you guys are going to get a lot out of hearing from Eric. Which it's kind of funny looking at this now. You got like big bearded blonde dude and a big bearded dark haired dude. But you want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit and tell them some of the people will be afternoon people that don't really get to hang out with you as much as
yeah, used to. For sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. So I am 25 years old. I'm from Iowa City. I've lived here all my life. Graduated City High.
Well beyond 25 years old too, I would say. Like I've met a lot of 25-year-olds, and they're not where you are.
Oh, thank you.
I mean that complimentary wise.
Try to stay ahead of the curve.
Anyway.
So City High, graduated in 2010. From there, I went to Kirkwood. Actually got an AA degree in criminal justice. I thought I was going to be a cop for a long time, which thinking back on is, kind of weird. I was super set on it at the time, but yeah.
But I asked you this during your interview too. I was like, why did you want to be a cop? And
right.
It's amazing how much the reason that you wanted to be a cop is similar to the reason that you want to do what you do now.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So from there, I originally started then I went on to the University of Iowa with the intent of just getting a 4-year degree to help further my career in law enforcement. And I actually didn't know. I actually had just signed up for a communications major and I switched it 2 days before the deadline.
Oh, really?
I'd signed up for communications. I heard it was easy. I'm like, I just need a 4-year degree, because it doesn't matter what it's in at that point. It's just having a bachelor's.
Right.
And so I signed up for communications 2 days before. One of my friends and lifting buddies was like, hey, they have an exercise science thing at Iowa. And
that's how it happened. He was just like, hey,
Yeah, and I was super obsessed with lifting at that point. I just had never thought of it a career. I didn't realize you can make money, off of training people.
Yeah.
And so I changed 2 days before. I changed my major to that, and then after the first semester, I knew that I was not going to do law enforcement. I wanted to get into the exercise science field, and
it's amazing. And really, even you telling that story, right there, when I was in college, this was not an option. This wasn't a thing yet. It just wasn't out there. Nobody was doing this, and I just happened to walk into a gym one day where a guy was doing this in 2007, when I was just out of college. I was like, wait, this is an option.
Yeah, it's crazy how far
this is insane. I want to do this.
Evolved since then.
Yeah, and that's a pretty short amount of time. 2007 was 11 years ago, so nuts. But what's your big reason? You obviously have a passion for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can't learn enough about it. I would say you are, in a very healthy way, obsessed with what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, okay, so I guess going back, I started getting into strength training. It must have been 9th grade of high school.
That's a good point. What was it like before lifting?
Yeah, before lifting, I don't know. I wasn't, as a kid, I always loved to be outside, climb trees, run around, but I never had a passion for sports.
Yeah.
Though I played 7th grade football, and that's the start and end of my of my organized sports. I think I played soccer in kindergarten, but I don't really remember. That's kindergarten. So that was the start and end of my organized sports experience. So I got into lifting, and I think there's about I hear from high school athletes, there's about 3 reasons why you get into wanting to lift weights, right? I think the first one is because of sport, through a sport, like you're lifting for your sport. I think that's the majority. The second is because you were bullied, maybe. Like you hear that a lot. It's sad. At least there's some positive.
It's sad, but yeah, it's the good and the
coming
bad,
out
right?
of it,
Yeah,
right?
Like that's my sentiment. Yeah, good,
You hear
both
that
of
from
us.
a lot of like powerlifters, especially in interviews.
Yeah.
You know, the hardcore strength athletes.
Yeah,
those that
Smelly,
drive.
wasn't it? That's how he
Yeah,
got his nickname.
yeah.
He got
A ton of those
somebody
guys.
said that he was smelly, and that and he punched him in the face, and that's how he got his nickname.
Yeah. So that's, but neither of those first two are me. The third one I think is kind of I guess it boils down to culture. Like I think most cultures look up to guys who are, you know, natural leaders. They're big, strong guys. And I think for me, it came through at that age. It was like past. I was always a huge action adventure. Movie time. Like that was all I ever wanted to watch, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so some that come to mind, like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Stallone movies, and Harrison Ford stuff.
Oh, Harrison
you know?
Ford. I thought you were going to go John. For me, it's John Claude.
John Claude's awesome.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, and then, you know, playing with action figures, you know, just this
Little boy stuff.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of having to draw towards that, you know, warrior culture, leadership, you know,
You
wanting
want to be
to
a
protect.
big, strong guy.
Yeah. So it's just some kind of inner calling to that, which kind of got me started. You know, there's no other reason. I just wanted to be bigger. I just wanted to lift to get bigger.
Yeah, I might add a fourth which kind of bugs me because I like things in primes.
Yeah.
But I would add girls to that too. Like
Okay.
attraction from girls.
So I thought about girls, and I think that's a huge drive, but I also think that's the least motivating drive.
I do too.
When I was thinking, because one of two things happen if you lift for girls, right? The first one is that you get the girl, and then you no longer have a drive.
Yeah.
And the second one is that you, right, a girl wanting to get the girl is being a sexual drive, right? And you figure out there's other ways to go about that as a high school, you know? So,
oh my god.
yeah.
It's hilarious. I'm with you. Yeah, as soon as you start to get the girls' attraction, then all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't need to lift anymore now. Now what's going on? Yeah. No, that's funny. No, the whole time you're saying that, I was like, I wonder what the third one's going to be. But yeah, the third one. I think that's like, I think that's an undervalued thing just in our society today. I don't know if you would agree with it or not, but like valuing that, especially. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to say like the Me Too movement is bad or anything like that. Like, I think it's great. However, like there is a little bit of like saying to a little boy like it's okay to like want to be a big strong guy.
Yeah.
You know, like I think there's something healthy there.
Yeah, definitely.
And embodying that is definitely like something that was a very positive thing for you. It was a very positive thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think anyway.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to kind of like our kind of evolutionary thing, right? You step back and maybe it's on a subconscious level that, you know, people are attracted to fit people, right? Because what you can provide, you can, like today, I think it's shifting more towards attracted, you don't need that to provide anymore.
Right.
But there's a certain set of characteristics that you need.
Yeah, on some level, it's got to be kind of in our DNA a little bit, you know, our reptilian brain or whatever it's called, to like find certain things. And I mean, science kind of proved this a little bit, but like we're kind of getting into another subject here that's like not really the reason, but like I don't think it's all like just, or is it all sexual drive? Like I don't think it's all sexual drive.
Yeah,
I think for you, like you wanted to be a cop because you wanted to protect and serve.
Right.
You know, like like being a big strong guy, what do you want to do? You want to protect and serve. You know, teaching others about preventative healthcare methods like lifting, being powerful, you know, good movement patterns. Like, what do you really want to do? You're trying to protect and serve, you know? So like, it's a pretty cool thing that it's all kind of like circumvented for you. It's really neat. So you started lifting when you say you're a freshman when you started lifting?
Yeah, I must have been a freshman. So what it was just a regular PE class where you could take resistance training. It was called strength training. Which City High offered, which was amazing.
We did not have that.
Right. Yeah, you know, City High for the time had just an awesome weight room. You know, at a time a lot of high schools didn't even have a free weight rack. They had like 18
Seriously?
of them.
Yeah.
So really fortunate to have had that.
Yeah, you spoiled
opportunity
asshole.
Yeah.
I had to steal a key from my best friend's mom that was on a member of the Booster Club just to sneak into the weight room.
Really?
Yeah, totally different scenario. But anyway, so so you're a freshman in high school. What was the initial? Was it just like, oh, this is just a piece of cake? All of a sudden I'm huge, or was it? How did it go?
So me as a freshman in high school, imagine me being my same height, 80 pounds.
How tall are you now?
So I'm 6'3".
See, I think you're probably 6'4",
Maybe
6'5".
I'm 6'4". For some reason, everyone says 6'3". Everyone who I'm as tall as will always say 6'4", so maybe I am. 6'3" is a number I'm going on since like high school that I got from a doctor.
Well, maybe that's it. Like maybe you grew a couple inches. I grew another inch when I got to college.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was 6'3", and then when I got to college, I've always been measured at 6'4". So either
okay, yeah.
And I think you're a little taller than I am.
Yeah. And I mean, some of it I probably have better posture since high school.
So now you're like 6. So like you're 6'3" to 6'5".
Yep.
And you weigh.
So and I've been that height since 8th grade. So.
Whoa! Were you really?
Yep.
Holy shit.
And so, but I was, freshman year I was about 150 pounds.
Yeah.
So not only did I not want to play sports, the coaches didn't want me.
Yeah,
Anyway, there weren't coaches. Like sometimes you get a big kid in a high school and the coaches are constantly trying to get them involved. Like until my senior year, I don't think a coach would have looked at me and been like, "Let's get this guy into sports."
Yeah.
It was a very gradual. My whole experience has always been just gradually building up. Which is the reality of.
Yeah. No, I think
Yeah,
I was having that realization this morning. It was just like, I was trying to analyze why do people burn out?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's because they do too much.
Yeah.
Or even maybe just I think it's because they do too little and they never get progress. So if you're just continually progressing, then you're never going to burn out.
Yeah.
Because
right. Yeah.
When you're just working your ass off and there's no progress,
that's why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so
you get
always
addicted to
progress.
seeing your numbers go up.
Right.
Right. And that's another point I was going to make is I think a lot of people start, especially like if you're starting in high school, you care more about size and appearance than anything, right? That's why you do it. You want to look like a bodybuilder, whereas the longer you stay in the game, the more that shifts to putting to weight on the bar, and then further, and then if you stay in long enough, just from hearing older guys, I'm not to this point yet, but from hearing a ton of older guys talk, then it's just about training in smart ways so to be able to do it for the rest of your life. Because at that point, it's
because they started out going for a product and they ended up falling in love with the process too.
Right.
Which I mean, there's this strange either or mindset that I think it's both. I think you got to be going for a product and you got to fall in love with the process.
Right.
I think it's both
for sure.
So you started lifting. It was a bit of a journey. By the time you were a senior in high school, you were a bigger, stronger guy. I was the same way. I was actually sick. I wasn't sick, as tall as you, but I was 6'2", 245 pounds, and I had grown like 6 inches in a year.
Yeah.
And I could barely clap my hands together. So coaches weren't looking for me to do anything. Yeah. So you go to college. You get you go the criminal justice route, and then almost like what is that word? Serendipity. Almost fate. That's the word I was going for. Yeah, almost fate that it happens to be that you find out about this. And then what did you do from there? So you started doing Health and Human Phys?
Yeah, Health and Human Phys with the track and exercise science at the university. There's a lot of different branches of health and human physiology.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
Exercise science track. I knew right away it was for me. It's what I wanted to do. Shortly after that, I started an internship with Phil Johnson in West Branch, with West Branch Strength and Conditioning. So that was kind of my first big experience into the actual world, right? Because there's what you learn in textbooks in school, and there's practical experience, and you need both. And I think a lot of people in my major made the mistake of thinking that school is going to set them up.
Oh no!
With everything and it's almost more like you need a foundational knowledge in physiology, but when it comes to getting a job and holding a job,
you need to be able to explain the 3 functions of the TFL and point to, and you need to know you need to know your acetabulum from your olecranon process, like a fancy way of saying like your ass from your elbow. So, you also need to know the other side of the scenario.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you don't actually do the lifting, what do you,
right. Yeah.
How are you going to carry this across? Yeah.
So I started there. I interned on and off with Phil for 2.5 years, and then my other big practical opportunity practical experience was internship with Iowa football, which was totally life-changing.
University of Iowa football. It's a big deal.
Yeah, something that I'll never forget. I learned a lot of lessons there.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was amazing. It was a full time, 50-hour weeks for 4 months. That was in the off season.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. Those guys are easy to put. They're putting in tons of hours. They're waking up really early. The intensity that you have to carry while you are a coach at that level.
The work ethic
you are always
Division
on.
I is
insane.
It's something else. It's you got to see it to know.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, those guys are some of the hardest workers, around.
Yeah, I love that when people are like, "Oh, it's genetics." I'm like, "Screw your genetics." There's a bunch of people out there with the genetics to be able to do that, and they're not doing it. Right. So it can't just be genetics. Yeah, they work their absolute ass off. Yeah. So you did the internship at the University of Iowa, and then how was your strength training going along in that route too? Because you had some things because I think that people that from what we just said, it almost sounds like it was just like this, but you had I think people think that when you start lifting, you just keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger no matter what you do. But how many times did you have to go back to the drawing board and look at your programming and go back to the drawing board and say, well, this isn't working out. My knees aren't feeling this great, my shoulders not feeling this great.
Right. Yeah.
What were some of the obstacles you had in the meantime?
Right. And when you zoom out at it over the years, if you're just looking at one snapshot of a point during the year, it's going up linearly, but you're always going to have setbacks.
Yeah.
Injuries are unavoidable. With good programming, you minimize them as much as possible, but to be human is to,
at some point you're going to have something hopefully it's as minimal as possible, but you go long enough with this thing and at some point you're going to have something that doesn't feel so great.
Right. Yeah.
And it just it's just sort of, it can be a tweak in your back and it goes away in 2 days. Great.
And usually it's from, it's almost never getting injured in the weight room, right?
Never. It's because you sneeze funny.
Yeah. And because you've had poor posture for so long and don't know how to move, and it's wearing down on you, and then one day it just snaps, and you realize that.
It's easy to point at stuff in the gym, but it's usually not. It's the lifestyle. You do 1 hour in the gym 5 days a week. You did 5 hours. Well, there's 168 hours in a week.
Right.
That's 163 hours that your tissues weren't moving around, where they were developing a poor movement pattern, where they were getting stiff, where they were when bad things were happening. So you have to look at lifestyle too. But anyway, so what were some of the setbacks that you ran into?
The biggest setback was I don't even know exactly what it was. It's some sort of some form of patella tendonitis that just got insane.
So basically the bottom part of the front of his knee wasn't feeling so great.
Yep. And it got to the point where I had to stop doing any leg movements, anything where that knee went into flexion, where it bent, and the deeper into flexion it got, the worse. And
so could you do deadlifts?
I could do totally stiff-legged.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah,
you could. You couldn't squat, couldn't do normal deadlifts, could only do straight leg deadlifts. So you're ruling out lunges, you're ruling out split squats, you're ruling out sled press pushing.
Yeah,
you're ruling out almost walking and doing things.
Yeah,
and so your hamstrings had to feel great.
Yeah. So basically, I got totally overdeveloped hamstrings with. Really, and I went to my physical therapist eventually. I didn't do physical therapy for a long time, but by the time I got there, I had been doing a ton of stiff-legged deadlifts, and she's like, eventually it's going to be counterproductive to have hamstrings that big without quad. It throws it off balance.
Eventually, you do want a really strong hamstring.
Right.
One of the biggest things we see with people is that they don't have that really developed hamstring, that really developed glute to be able to utilize the hamstring. But in this case. At some point, too much is still too much.
Yeah, I was pushing that point. So anyway, but yeah, it got to the point where going upstairs hurt.
Right.
And I was 21, 22 years old.
Yeah, you're way too young.
So anyway, I attribute that to poor movement quality back before I started down the road, exercise science path, not knowing what I was doing.
Right. When you first started, you were probably just. You were young, and so you could beat the shit out of your body, and it still make progress. So you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, right.
But at some point, there's a detriment. It is a point. The return on investment isn't so high anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so for 3.5 years, I couldn't really squat. Like there's points where I would just take so much, NSAIDs that I could,
I have a whole bottle of ibuprofen so you can squat.
Yeah. So, I'd do it for 2 months and get my squat back up to a certain point, and then, at that point your stomach starts hurting, you just don't want to be on them. And then you stop again. And so anyway, but eventually I found a way to manage that, and then, and just bring up, learn how to actually squat and move and
right. Like most people, when you first teach them, when you're first learning how to squat, they just squat all knee. It's just like everything's shifted toward the knee, and it's just like how much can you bend the knee, and really it should be more about the hip and how you separate the hips back, or how you separate the knees back into the hip.
Exactly.
So that you're putting more, because those are the big strong muscles. Your muscle, the knee doesn't really have very many big muscles. It's a very intricate joint, and your hip has huge muscles. The largest cross-sectional area of any muscle is actually in your hip. So, I would guess you were just sitting there beating.
Yeah, I wish I had video to go back and look at, because what I imagine was happening is that weight was dumping forward, my heels would lift up a little bit, and just So anyway, no, I think that's a pathway a lot of us get to learning what we.
But now you can squat.
Right. Yeah. So now I can squat, and I mean it's something I just have to keep managed. Yeah. Like I can't forget about it and get lazy with my therapy with it. But,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I am with my hip and my shoulder. If I don't continue to do the things that need to be done, then I'm just I end up walking around like John Wayne and bitching and moaning about my shoulder every time it moves.
Exactly. Yeah. And injuries like that can be so depressing, especially when your life revolves around.
When this is everything to you, it's your greatest thing that you've ever had, and then it gets stripped away from you, then it's easy to fall into that sort of like, this life sucks. Yeah. This is the only thing I've ever loved, and I don't have it anymore, sort of thing. Yeah.
And it just comes down to, keeping hope, trying every option you can, because eventually if you get obsessed with fixing it, you're going to find a way.
You tend to get what you focus on.
Yeah.
You focus on how, like, all the crappy things in life, you're probably going to get a few more crappy things. Exactly. If you look for the solution, you're probably going to be more likely to find the solution. So I think that anyway.
I agree.
I think it would be hard to disagree with that. But so what's it like? What's it like now that you're done with school? You join the career world, because it's different training when you have a job. It's different when you're on your feet for 6 to 8 hours training people, and then you also have to go work out. Right. What's it like now?
It's going good. So I work the morning shifts here Monday through Friday. So, my day generally looks like, I get here at 5 a.m. I'm out the door around 10:30, and I go home, eat, take a nap, and then knock training out. And, that's always generally my first priority. And then I try to get some studying done and then relax.
Yeah. And I knew that was like when you first started that, like doing the morning things, that was one of the big concerns was like, is this going to negatively affect my training?
Sure,
And I remember just hearing you say it, like, resonated in me so much, because it was just like how much importance you put on that, and how much it leads to, like, I don't want to call it happiness, but you're just the general well-being of your life, the joy of your life. Like if you didn't have that thing, it would suck. So it's like, I don't want to do this if it's going to take away from that.
Right.
And I was a little concerned for that too, because like to see somebody else not to have something ripped away from them and knowing what that feels like, I would just like never. I would never want that for somebody. It's awful. But.
And there's an adjustment period, but eventually you adapt and overcome.
You totally adapt and overcome. But, and then what's it been like working with you worked with some athletes, you've worked with general population, you worked with high school athletes, like so elite athletes, high school athletes, you worked with general population now. What are some of the things that like you didn't expect?
Well, if you would have went back at the start of my, if you would have went back when I was 22 and said, hey, do you think you'll enjoy, training 30 to 50-year-old women every day, I probably would have.
Stopped. I would have too. I would have been like, no. That sounds awful.
But it's awesome, and it's it's so fun, and Grit Gym like just attracts super motivated people and super hard. Like, I mean, the 40 and 50-year-old women I train here are just as hardworking as as so many of the athletes I train.
The moms and the grandmas that I work with, like they would run not circles as in like performance wise, but circle as in work ethic wise.
Yeah.
They would just beat the piss out of any of the like professional or Division I athletes that I've ever worked with.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
just murder them.
And what's really nice about working with older clients is that they, through experience, they understand the importance of sleep and diet. You know, it's not like where you're preaching to them all the time about it. Like,
but I just want to go out and drink and, and get laid and have a good time. And I don't need to sleep. Why would I need to sleep?
Yeah.
And you're like, kid, I'm going to strangle you. Only I get fired.
It's a hard lesson for high schoolers to learn.
Yeah, I was thinking of all the D1 guys that I used to know.
Yeah. Well, with the drinking.
You staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you're coming in and thinking you're going to lift at 8. Like, get real, kid. Yeah. Like, no wonder you're not progressing. But yeah, moms are phenomenal. I think the same thing. Like, if you would have told 22-year-old Adam that working out with moms and dads and grandmas was going to be like the highlight of his life, I think I would have been like, you're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to do that. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you like, it's a weird thing because they appreciate you in a way that I don't know if I've ever been appreciated for like teaching them certain things and for giving them a fresh perspective on this health and nutrition and exercise. But then like you have this like weird appreciation for the life lessons that you
and they teach. They end up teaching you.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
It's this amazing like respect or appreciation or whatever is exchanged there. I don't know what it is, but it's phenomenal.
And that's another thing with older clients, appreciating, learning proper technique. And, high school, you just want to lift heavy.
Yeah.
But really appreciating the finer points of what it is to, be an athlete. Because, these people who train here are all athletes, right? If you're lifting...
Everybody has an inner athlete.
They're all strength athletes.
Right.
If you got to, the second you start resistance training, you got to live like that because it'll tear you down.
Right.
You're tearing down your body. You have to eat and sleep.
Because that's where all the magic happens.
An athlete.
Yeah, that's where all the benefits happen. And I think a lot of people here have had a little bit of their health stripped away from them, so they know the value of it.
Yeah.
Like how much it can just set you down and just tear your life apart. Like you don't have it. What do you have?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a pretty amazing thing watching people go through this. It's a totally different scenario than training professional athletes or Division I athletes or even high school kids.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, but like the life lessons that they give you and all that stuff. But anything else that you want to? I mean, we're getting kind of the end of the half hour. Anything else that you want to words of wisdom or advice that you have for starting out in the strength game?
For younger kids starting out?
No,
or
just for
trainers or for general?
No, for general population, just 30 to 50-year-old. They don't you think of the person that's in here. Before they came in here, they were like a cardio addict. They didn't know that they could lift. They were actually told that if they lift, all these bad things would happen. Yeah. They did always want to be this strong, powerful being, but everybody told them, no, don't do that. All these bad things will happen. And then they come in here and they find out that it was the answer that they were looking for the entire time. It's badass, right?
Happens all the time. So I guess I would say, the first thing I'd recommend, and you could say this is just because I'm a trainer, but when you're starting, you need to find someone to guide you on the path. And I'm not saying you need to spend money on it, but at least put in the time to research. At the very least, look up some YouTube videos by a qualified professional, and before you just go to the gym and look to your side and see what they're doing, and then try to mimic that. I've seen that all the time. You see that, you go into any big box gym. And you see, you see people just wandering around.
Yeah. I think I'll do this. I think I'll do that.
You see
it's like all the foreign kids.
Maybe one person there who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And is training in a safe manner. Mm-hmm. One if you're lucky.
And you might even look at that person and try to emulate what they're doing, but they're on another level than you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's just. It's like you wouldn't
They're on a different plan. They're on a different, you don't need to do what they're doing, even though they're doing exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah. When you get injured, you don't try to fix yourself, right? You go to a physical therapist. When you get sick, you go to a doctor. these are all things that deal with your body, and
Yeah.
it's not replaceable, and you can't take it lightly because
yeah.
you can do irreversible damage.
Yeah, and I think
You
like
know?
where medicine is right now, I think people kind of have this idea that you can reverse it, but we get people every great once in a while. I'll end up in a conversation with somebody who's on the verge of gastric bypass.
Yeah.
And whoa, what was that? And like gastric bypass, they think is the answer.
Yeah.
You know, the answer, the secret that once I get this, everything will be. What they don't tell you is that like almost every single gastric bypass fails and everybody gains back all the weight. And it's not necessarily the answer. You're going to have to do a ton of work along with it, and it's going to be really uncomfortable the whole way. So are you really willing to get cut open,
Right.
gutted, stapled up?
And surgery might be the easiest way to go about most things, but it's almost never the most effective unless you're just so far,
Yeah.
to a point where there's just no coming back. But
Right.
that's so few of the cases. Like
An ounce of prevention is worth and I think like a ton of cure. But the saying is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I think it's worth just tons of cure.
yeah, I like that. That's yeah, exactly.
Maybe we should make a T-shirt. But I kind of cut you up there. Anything else that you got? Want to leave them with?
No, that's it. I mean, if you're just getting started, find what motivates you. Find a qualified instruction, whether it's on the internet or someone you're paying for. Don't go into it uneducated, blind.
Yeah, don't go in blind.
Get yourself hurt.
Or go to someone that is also blind. The blind leading the blind doesn't work very well either. Yeah, totally. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, and if you guys can do me a favor, if you can put in the comment section below if you would like to see Eric on each Thursday, you just comment below. And what symbol do we want to get? A thumbs up?
Sure.
Maybe we should do the middle finger.
The middle finger emoji.
Nah, thumbs up will be good. Everybody will get on the video and be like, what? Why is everybody doing it? All right. Thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. Please click the share button. Send this out to everybody that you know. Eric he's from Iowa City, so a lot of the people that you know probably know Eric, so they're probably going to want to watch this video. Did a great job. I think he does phenomenal in here. If you're in the area, you should definitely stop in and say hi. But anyway,
Thank you.
thanks, man. We'll see you guys soon.